But the Emerald City is not an Emerald City, it's a Crystal City. It's just gonna land on Emerald Lake in Colorado.
Go ahead.
Right?
I got videos of that. I got. Hey, look, I ain't gotta tell you. I'm about to get ready to put some shit out that's got that video in it already. I might send you a copy of the, send you a picture of the video. What you
Mhm.
just said. Yeah, I got a video. I got a reenactment of that. Of that
Right.
landing. It's a movie I'm finna get ready to put out called The Pickup. So y'all gonna like that movie. I've been working on it for a while, and it's gonna be fire.
The Crystal City is actually a Anunnaki jumper ship.
Go ahead.
It's the size of a city.
Go ahead.
It got buildings on it.
Yeah.
It's huge,
Yeah.
but it's not the mother plane.
Nah.
It's just a jumper.
We had
But
24.
if you do your research on Emerald Lake, you'll find that the county is in is called the Silver Bow. Right?
Mm.
Now we talking Sagittarius, was it Aries the Archer?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the shape of the county of Silver Blow, it's shaped just like the Liberty Bell.
I gotta load this up. Hey, you keep talking, Rob. I gotta start riding, but I'm gonna just switch to my phone.
We're gonna be wrapping it up pretty soon.
All right,
We're gonna take a couple. Let's take about 3-4 questions.
all right, we go ahead. Hey, y'all got any questions based on what we're talking about now and what's going on the land? Drop them in the chat, man. Drop them questions in the chat. Um, this is from Little Rock. Shout out Little Rock, man, in the building. It says if you're just not coming in, you might have to roll it back, man. We was talking about the 4 girls making the connection with the 4 girls in the
Mm.
bombing. It says, "What's next? What's next in 18? Do you see?" They say, "Do you see anything happening in Atlanta, Rod, with all this going on? Like, they are playing some in Atlanta, like a part of this chaos."
Atlanta got away about 4 years ago. They was trying to plant a dirty bomb, and I got a video where I was remote viewing it, and I seen it when they captured the dirty bomb. It was in back of a semi.
Uh-huh.
So the time to get Atlanta,
Pass.
um, right now they can get another bite at the apple if Atlanta keep indulging in nefarious activities in the community.
Makes sense.
They're gonna cause they controlling the energy frequency. If it's too much negative shit going on, like it was where them fires was at,
Uh-huh.
they
Mm-hmm.
gonna catch some. They gonna catch some shit down there.
So pretty much, this is the Big Mama Universal Energy, pretty much pulling her belt off, handling
Whooping that, whooping that ass.
yeah. And I know,
Everybody,
like,
everybody don't get the same whooping. We all get the whooping to according to how Big Mama see the dirt we did.
yeah, it ain't no. Hey, look, the people that's the shit that's this happening to, it ain't nobody poor and the people that ain't doing. It's the rich people that been doing all this stuff. Everybody that stuff that's burning down, it's the people who the bad guys. Really, when you think about it, it's the
It's,
bad guys, man.
yeah, this not no accident.
Nah,
Look, and nobody not noticing on each coast we between fire and ice.
yep, that's right. Icy hot. Ice. Hey, you put icy hot on your neck, lead. Big Mama put that icy hot on her knee, man. And that shit, that Big Mama got me burning though, boy. I ain't lying. That shit burn a hole in you. Look,
I'm
that
not
icy hot.
sure which black flag they talking about, if it's a MIAPOW flag or what. A black US flag, which means take no prisoners. I'm not sure what the flag, what black flag. I didn't see it. You want to look it up, Elder?
Hold on. I can look it up for you real quick while we waiting. Hold on, let me see. I got you right here. I'm gonna look at it right now. Okay, this is okay. Here we go. Here we go. Another. All right. Let me look it up. It says, what area in the U.S. are safe zones with mountains for us to shelter at when poop hit the fan? I guess we're talking about like a nuclear explosion or something.
Ain't gonna be no nukes.
That's what I said. That extraterrestrials ain't gonna let them do it. They already said it. They ain't gonna let them pull off a nuke. And if they do, ooh, that's gonna be.
It might be some big ass bombs, but they're not gonna be nukes.
Yeah. Black
Yeah.
flag.
If you want to see what I mean by big ass bomb, go to YouTube and type in Moab bomb, mother of all bombs. It was tested by George W. Bush, G. Dummy, when he was about to right before, I think it was right before 9/11. But they tested it. It's called the Moab bomb, mother of all bombs. But that's not a nuclear bomb. It's just explosives, volatile explosives in high density concentration to render a mega blast.
Yeah, I see people talking about that black flag. Hold on.
The MIA POW flag is for missing in action prisoners of war. They still have operations going on around the world where they was taking prisoners of war that haven't been returned home yet. And you got a lot of people that went missing during combat. And you got us, we prisoners of war on the land. So the flag is the battle cry for the ones that's prisoners of war.
It says gay rights and black. Hey, some people saying it's for gays and Black Lives Matter.
No, not the POW, not the POW flag.
No, the black flag. They say it's for says these are the green lines. Says these support cops, firefighters, and military at all times. Police support officers started popping up after brash police shooting on black people. Okay, all right. Yeah, it's just some decorations look like. It says, look, what is Project 2025? We already put a tape. Hey, go back on the video side. We got a whole tape out called Project. What is Project 2025? It's the government, it's the government trying to wean the American people off because they going out of business. So they don't want to just leave you hanging. They gonna try to give you a severance pay. It's like a severance pay type of thing. And then they go out of business. They really don't got nothing to really give you because they really don't got nothing. But they gonna try to give whatever they got once Donald Trump liquidate all the assets. That's what he coming in and do. Donald Trump gonna liquidate the assets.
You remember when you asked me why all that UN stuff was all across the land, and I told you that America, the foreclosure was getting it all back.
Yeah, they collect. Right. That's what a liquidator do. He goes collect all the assets. He got to bring all that back. That's why he went got the gold. That's why Trump went got the gold. All this is a series of events that's happening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now we are almost to grand finale part where we realize that we won a war, good versus evil. By no matter how much evil was done to us, we still remain to be the good.
Yeah.
By standing in a position of right, telling the truth. And the ones in the position to right, them the righteous.
This is what I'm saying though, Roy. Why the hell they paying? I understand why they paying the Japs. They blew the Japs off into space, right? 19, they blew. But why are they paying the Israelites, these so-called Israelites over here, and we ain't got paid? After what our lady did to us, why we ain't getting paid and they paying some Israelites? I know why because the black thing about the black thing for the Moors. I'm talking about it just don't make sense still to why these Israelites over here could get paid, and we ain't, and America didn't even do nothing to them. The Germans blew them up. The Germans blew them up. The Americans didn't blow them up. The United States corps didn't blow them unless they was in with the Germans on the so-called.
You gotta also add to that
Okay.
the U.S. economy is the number one financier of the state of Israel.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm saying. Why they paying all that money to them and they don't even got nothing to do with them,
They
unless
go
it's
back. It go back to World War One and the Balfour Declaration before any of that ever happened to them.
okay. Okay.
When in World War One, when they was running out of money to fight the war, they went to the Jewish bankers, and the condition was to establish the state of Israel.
Man, that makes sense. I think I
This is
read.
during World War One. It's the document is called the Balfour Declaration. Once it was agreed upon by the United States, France, and Britain, it was actionable in the international law for them to pull that marker when they was ready. They
So they gonna
pulled
steal
it.
somebody else's land and then stake their fucking flag down on it.
Right. Yeah. Now, they got to first figure out where they want to go. If you go back and look at the time that they was chartering the state of Israel, I think it was Ralph Bunch, bitch ass, went over there and carved out their lines of demarcation. But before that, they had a total of like 12 different places that supposed to be their promised land. So they didn't even know where it was supposed to be at.
Yeah. That makes
Right?
sense.
Okay, now, once they settled on taking Israel, why did they settle on that?
Palestine, right?
Yeah. But why did they settle on that geography?
Because they had all that or something. I don't know.
Oil,
Yep.
oil,
Yep.
industrial revolutionary oil.
Yep.
Now, at the time that they discovered that oil over there, you got to remember, you had this company called Shell, and you had one called American Standard. That was the oil manufacturers in the Americas under their cousins, the
Rothschild,
yeah,
Rockefeller.
right. They were financiers, oil and railroad owners. Right now, go look at the Monopoly board.
Yep.
It's a game they playing. They only gonna help they own. So they leverage that knowledge of or that need in order to fight the war because they funding both sides anyway.
That's right. Get down to it now.
And where could they be funding them from other than Switzerland, a neutral territory?
Go ahead.
I'm not taking sides in y'all war, but here goes some money to both of y'all. Fight
Both of
it
y'all
out.
pay me though. Yeah, both of y'all gonna pay me.
Yeah.
No matter who lose or win.
Because you're gonna need some money again. Because after the war, you're gonna need to come back because you're gonna have to do something called building infrastructure. Right? So when they come in to build the infrastructure, if I turn down the loan, you just living in squalor.
Right.
You living in a war-torn community. Like we've been living ever since they've been burning us out of Philadelphia and burning us out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and burning us out of Rosewood and burning us out of I don't know how many cities in Mississippi. I don't know how many in Alabama. I don't know how many in Louisiana. They were setting our cities on fire, so burn their ass back up just like they burnt us up.
Right. Because it ain't the projects that's getting burnt. It's the rich folks.
Right. Now look, the same people that's controlling the purse strings on the wars.
Mm-hmm.
It's also controlling the purse strings on the building of the civilization, or what they call the revolutionizing of the civilization. So you're gonna have a revolutionary change in the civilization over a period of time,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the revolutionary change is turning everything around in their favor was the goal. But we don't want to be their slaves, and we don't want to be working for them. And matter of fact, we competent and capable enough to handle our own affairs, where they can get out of the seat as the caretakers of our estates. We
Right.
don't need.
We ain't
We
wars no more.
understand Britain trained them to be bankers and lawyers, and they all part of the gentry. But we don't need them. We got chiefs. We
Right.
got badass braves. Them young YGs coming up, right? We
Right.
got them soldier sisters like Sister Soldier that's coming with their fist pumping, telling them that we ain't taking that shit no more. This
Nah.
ain't your Martin Luther King generation. We
Hell
hold
no.
grudge like hyena hold bites.
You ain't finna hit us with no brick and think you finna just, oh yeah, man, they crazy.
No,
Nah,
we believe in self-defense.
yeah, you hit me with a brick, we gonna shoot, we gonna start open up the can of whoop ass on your ass. This time with 2
Mm-hmm.
cans. God damn it. You know what I'm saying? We go over 2 cans. Martin Luther King should have opened up a can of whoop ass. But Byron Rustin them,
He
they
couldn't. You got to
yeah,
remember that was one of the restraints for us to be able to have the opportunity to reclaim it back, as we couldn't take them to bloody war unless we give them an extension.
damn.
So
He
Martin
said,
couldn't go to war with them.
and Martin had them guns at first before Byron Rustin.
Garvey had it. Go back and look at the pictures of Garvey.
Yeah,
He had an
yeah,
army with him
yeah, he did.
of us,
Yeah. And them boys had Terry Bushes on.
and he was teaching how to rebuild and control and govern civilizations.
And
He
he
wasn't.
hooked up with number
He
2
wasn't.
Ali.
He just wasn't no activist.
Nah.
Right? But we get this we know that it's people that look like us that ain't us that got us in this condition, but we have a propensity to blame the wrong ones for doing the dirt when they did the most good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because the enemy is always going to shovel dirt on the ones that you can hold up as your best examples of heroes. One of my favorite books of all time is Message to the People by Marcus Garvey. Philosophies and Opinions of
Yeah.
Marcus Garvey.
Yeah, I got that book.
Right? He give you so many jewels, goddamn it, you can be twisting caps and busting heads by learning to the stuff that he telling you that need to be learned. How we need to organize. What's the secret behind the oppression? How do we break free? He looking. When he figured it out, he left us a message. He say it might have been. He said if we had to wait 200 years.
Start off with the Anunnaki pantheon. Can you explain this to us, brother?
The Anunnaki pantheon consists of the father Anu. Anu got have 2 wives. One of his wives is the mother to Enlil and Inanna. Another one of his wives is the mother to Enki, and then he got other concubines that have children. But the man is Anu, right? The Anunnaki are both matrilineal and patrilineal. It depends on which planetary system they operating on, whether they follow matrilineal or patrilineal, because they following the primary rulership gender of the planetary body that they inhabited, right? So there's a lot of scientists in the pantheon, or the ones that we came in contact with. There's a lot of military personnel that we came in contact with, and we call him stuff like the god of the development of genetic engineering, the god of implements of war and stuff like this, right? But it's just telling you more of what they do when they're not here. And the godship is really just the lineage from the people that amalgamated with them. That's why they say the godship was passed, or the rulership was passed from heaven to earth by Anunnaki. That's the tablets that's telling that stuff, right? One of my worst things I like to talk about, but I have to talk about it because there's so many people in the research field, and that's anything that is dealing with outside of the earth. I don't like talking about aliens, extraterrestrials, extra dimensional beings, because we don't focus enough on what's going on earth and the stuff that's controllable. We want to take a big bite out of something we have no control over. So for a long time, I wouldn't even answer questions on nothing alien. But now we at a point where the Congress of the United States is admitting there's extraterrestrials in the ocean, extraterrestrials sending ships to the earth. They have the bodies of aliens or extraterrestrials. They call them biologics, meaning they got a body. Then they're giving a whole disclosure in congressional hearings, and now it's like you can't evade the questions no more. You can't say, well, we need to worry about Earth now, because now whoever it is, whether they extraterrestrial, whether they extra dimensional, whether they live primarily under the water, whether they live in the earth, wherever they from, whether they from a different timeline, whether they somebody from the future that hack time travel, it's somebody here that ain't supposed to be here, or that wasn't always here. And the movement of governments, we had South Korea tried to establish a martial law, but it got turned over by the people and the elected officials that could override the mandate. Then you had France fail. Now you have one of them countries in the Middle East, I think it's Syria, is falling, right? This is just the beginning. All these governments have to go for the new system to take place. And this Anunnaki discussion is part of the discussion of what Christians call the return of the Christ, or what the Muslims call the coming Mahdi, what the Hindus call the return of Krishna. It's all the same thing, right? And we get these stories, but we don't know the source documents. While I was waiting to get on, somebody said something about me saying that the Old Testament was written first. I got that from Dr. Ben. When he said Dr. Ben said the Old Testament was written after the New Testament, and it wasn't no Hebrews before Christians. I'm like, where's you getting it from? So, check out what the old man tell me and go look at where he said, look. Right? He ain't the only one I heard say it. I heard a couple of paleface scientists saying the same thing. Right? We know religion is a single idea of military conquest, using the priest as the soft cell of the military strategy. They go in first. They go in before the foot soldiers. Why would you send the priests in before you send the foot soldiers? Right? So all of this stuff, what we seeing going on, it's an inevitability that the old system fall, because entropy has become so rampant that the decay of society is obvious to even narrow-minded individuals. They could see that the society is decaying. They just don't think that we're going to ever do nothing about it. It's just going to continue to decay until we just live in raunchy on the streets. Every day people doing savage stuff to each other. That's not the case, right? It's a structure to the natural order of things. And all we trying to do is get back to natural order. And the interference, according to the written record, comes from these beings we call Anunnaki, who had a sibling rivalry gender war that was the war in heaven that landed on earth. You on mute?
Yeah, let me ask you this question. Because I was always wondering, are the Anunnakis real, or is this just another myth? Are the Anunnakis real people?
Well, I read them as energy personally.
Okay.
Right, because anything that if I can't walk up to a dude and say, "Hey, my name Rod, I'm from Earth," and he like, "I'm Zuzu Azu from Nibiru," I can't say for sure because everything that we argue in most of our debates is speculative. We wasn't there. We wasn't there. We did. Ain't nobody living right now that's supposed to walk with somebody they call Jesus. We wasn't there. Any account we have is a secondhand story, even if it's the onlooker. He's second person perspective looking at the first person reality unfold before them. So I read it all as an energy. I don't read none of it in history as these signatures belong somewhere. They got something to do.
Okay. All right. Let's welcome to the stage. Brother Gideon is in the building. Hebrew Israelite. Brother Gideon, you have a question for Brother Rod Hayes?
Yeah. First, thank you, sir. I want to give all praises to the Most High in the name of Yahshua HaMashiach. Peace to the brother Rod Hayes. How you doing, man?
Peace, brother. Peace. How you doing?
I'm good. This is just to what I've been hearing you say. There's nothing, to speak into who I think you are or anything like that. So I heard you say that Dr. Ben said that the Old Testament was written after the New Testament, but I'm here to say that that's patently false because Dr. Ben, although he claimed to be a Cometian, does also claim lineage from the Hebrew Israelites. So where did you get that from? Because
I heard it in a lecture. I heard him say it in a lecture on the history of Europe.
Okay, so if it came down to it, I could pull something on video of him saying it.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't be able to pull that back up.
I would have to go through his lectures and listen to him again to give you the exact lecture. But at the time that I was doing my research and I was listening to him, I didn't understand what he was talking about. Right? Most of the Hebrews that we see today follow the Torah, but the ones in early biblical time followed the Talmud and the Mishnah.
When you say early time, what period you talking about?
Around the time that the Bible was developed, around 200-300 Christian era.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to know that you can continue. I just be in the background, and if side let me, I can say something else.
All right. You can turn off your camera if you want to say something else. Okay. Let me ask you, my brother Rod. Is the Zechariah extension the most reliable source we can get when it comes to the Anunnaki?
The most reliable source is to use the online codex to get and use that as a translator tool and do it yourself. That's the most reliable source. But like I say, all this stuff is energies. Anything that's outside of your current reality is a signature of a historical energy. Some energies is more powerful than others, right? But we don't look at stuff like energies because we taught everything as in nouns, person, places, or things, right? But if you read it as an energy, all of the energy is going to tell you a different story than person, place, or thing tell you. It's more information in reading it as an energy than reading it as person, place, or thing noun format, which we trapped into that 3D person, place, or thing paradigm because we need something based on our reality that we can perceive as tangible, that we can like, okay, I can go put my hands on so-and-so, I know where he at. But if we don't exist no more, everything he did, he left what's called an energy signature, a trace behind him that he was here. And that's why they say you died 2 times in ancient Egypt. You died the first time when you physically die, and the last time your name is spoken. That means your energy don't exist no more. If your name stopped being spoken, your energy not here no more. As long as they speak your name in reverence and honor, it keeps your energy alive longer and longer and longer.
Okay, when we talk about the Anunnaki, is this the same, maybe talked about different when it comes to the Bible? Because the Bible also talks about giants. So is this the same thing that the Bible's talking about? They just call it, you can answer.
The Bible is an excerpt from Kemetic texts, Ethiopian texts that predate the Ethiopian Bible, and it's an excerpt from Anunnaki texts. All of these things was used to like make a soup that we call Christianity.
But
so some of all of it is in there.
Yeah, so you talking about the giants that's in the Bible. Wasn't it giants?
So they don't, in the Bible, they call the giants the Nephilim. And Nephilim is from the root word Nephala, meaning to fall, in reference to them coming from somewhere other than here to earth. Then you have a group of people called Anakim or Anakites in the Bible. That's the same as the Anunnaki. They just, because the linguistic difference, the name is not pronounced exactly the same.
Correct, right. Yes, I checked on Cube. Rod, when you told me on the last one, he's all right, brother. He's pretty good. Brother Apostle, can you pull your camera down some because it's blocking you? The words, there you go. You're good. You got a question, Apostle?
Yeah. I was going to talk about Anakin. And I knew the scriptures talks about them, but the word Anunnaki deals with explanation more so than it deals with a certain being or certain deity. It just means from heaven they came. So that's what the word Anunnaki means. From heaven they came. And they are associated, the Anunnaki are associated with reptilians from
Sirius.
Not Sirius.
And Orion.
Orion. Yep. From the Orion star system. There are 2 sets, 2 different sets. One is benevolent and the other one is somewhat malevolent.
And so you believe these were real people, Apostle?
I believe that, I believe personally, similar to what he said, there's a lot of confusion when it comes to the Most High God. What I wanted to share earlier before you left, I wanted to close. I want to tell y'all to pay attention to what's going on, being reported in Jersey and all throughout the country and all throughout the planet about UAPs that are being seen. Hundreds.
UAPs?
UAP.
That's unidentified aerial phenomenon. That's what they've been talking about.
There's something that's going to happen. I'm going to tell you, and they're going to use it. And they're going to deceive a lot of people by it. A lot of things that we call aliens. If I'm living 3,000 years ago and I happen to see a spaceship come out of the sky and a 4-foot creature come out of it, I might call that creature a demon. I might call that creature a demon. a little imp. You ever heard that before? What a demon looks like? They are imps. They are tiny, 3 to 4 feet, green. Today we call them grays.
All right, Apostle.
I'm going to shut up with this.
Go ahead.
If I want to learn about the Anunnaki, I would do what Sitchin did. I would go to the same sources he went to. The records that are in Sumer, the Akkadian files, the stones. That's where he got his information from. And that's what I would study. Unfortunately, Billy Carson name is like mud around here these days. The white boy done did a job on him, and everybody's talking about him.
Everybody's talking about it, man.
Everybody is talking about it.
I couldn't believe I tuned in a little bit to Sarah Super.
Even Yara. Yara. I mean, everybody. I'm like, y'all give Billy a break, man. The man don't know everything. He ain't apostle. Give him a break.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. If anybody want to come in, you got to turn on your camera. If you don't turn on the camera, don't bother coming in. Okay, let me move on. You can stay there, Apostle. Talk to us. How do the ancient Egyptians and the Sumerian stories about the Anunnaki relate to each other, Brother Rod? How do they relate to each other?
We talking Puerto Rican and Mexican.
Okay.
We talking two different groups of people that both have some commonalities to them. When you go to the Emerald Tablets of Tahuti, right? He said he was told by his father to take his ship, lift up from the earth, and go west and settle in the land of Kemp, right? And when you look at what's going on at the time, this is the same time that there's conflict between what they call the Earthborn and the ones they call the Igigi, right? This is what they called it, a workers' rebellion, right? So when he go over there, he say he raised up his staff and humbled the hairy barbarian of Kim and compelled them to submit to his authority, right? Now, we don't know, like, for instance, when you go to Khan Mansa Musa and his brother Abu Bakari, right? Abu Bakari came over here, he had a staff of rulership. We tend to think that he used energy when he could have just been using a rulership staff they're familiar with, right? That's just a side note. But my perception is the Kim that was set up, Egypt that was set up in what we call Egypt today, it was a duplicate of what was in Arizona long before, during the time of Atlantis. And I believe that Tahuti was sent over there to watch the Anunnaki because they was violating galactic law in their laboratories and in their experiments.
All right. Peace to you, my brother. What's happening, man? Do you have a question for the brother, Rod?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you loud and clear.
Peace, brother.
All right. All right. Peace to you. I just happened to do a live on this not long ago on this very topic, and I think that it's necessary for your audience, Brother Sarnetta, that they get a thorough background on exactly what this whole Anunnaki thing is. It's kind of difficult because, you know, what's happening right now with Billy Carson, and to an extent, even with Zechariah Sitchin, a lot of these guys that put this stuff out, they rely on a lot of the mythologies or the associated claims without any verification from an actual inscription. much of, with all due respect, with much of what the young man was saying, we don't have documentation to support it. Even with the brother Apostle making references to Sumer, we don't even have, there isn't even, the word Anunnaki isn't even in a Sumerian inscription. It's not there. Anunnaki comes about during the Babylonian and Akkadian period, and to an extent, the Neo-Assyrian period. And even the name that is so popular is just wrong. I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself. But first of all, what the Sumerians in their literature, what the scribes wrote was, and it's just a simple term, they were of the royal family of the skies. Okay, there is no from heaven to earth, none of that stuff. You don't even have a word for earth in Sumerian. Okay, so I just want to be able to break it down, at least in the layman's terms, to where it's really understandable, so that in the future, whenever this topic comes up, we can dismiss people like Billy Carson, Zechariah Sitchin, Malachi York, or any one of these guys that are out here pushing a false narration about ancient history as it pertains to the ancient Sumerians. And one of the myths and deceptions is saying that the Anunnaki were those who came from heaven to key earth. That's not even in the grammar. That's not even the word. What we have is real simple. The first of all, the very first, could I share my screen? Is that possible?
Rod Hayes, is it cool or what? Because this is your day-to-day, brother.
I'm liking what he's dropping down, so I'm with it.
Yes, go ahead, brother. You can share. Hey, you know what, brother? Can you put your number in the back and I could give you your own show? You could do your own show. I would love that.
I'm surprised at you, brother Sonetta.
Why you say that?
Because you seem like you don't even know who the hell I am.
I can't really see your face. Let me see you, because you blocked. Oh.
Oh.
I got you, man. Yeah, but I still need your number, though. I forgot your number or something. Put your number in the back, brother. In the chat. In the back.
You are watching a master at work, Chuck Morgan.
Share your screen.
I think that this is necessary, and because I did this with the Smash Rockwell show, I think that is necessary to have to pull up again. Let me hit this. Let me make my screen large so that everybody can hit it. 1, 2, 3. But please bear with me. It's just going to take me just a second.
Brother Ron Hayes, you can cut in whenever you're ready, brother. This is your show.
Oh, by all means. By all means. All right. Can you see?
Yes, I see it.
All right. Now, this is done because I'm an intermediate Sumerian language student. And this is something really basic and simple. It's not anything that's hard, rough, or complicated, because it wasn't even something that is really much in Sumerian folklore and literature. Okay, so the Anunnaki appears in post-Akkadian Sumerian literature as gods of the royal seas. Okay, Anunnaki. First of all, you don't have. Well, let me go to this. Let me go here. You'll never read. Well, first of all, right here, if you look, this first cuneiform character here is referred to as a dingir. Dingir. Okay, it is a determinative which classifies that what is to follow is either a deity name. In this case, it is a plural collective. So this would be the first word, because you do not pronounce this character here as a determinative. So the next character is in Sumerian, A. And A is the word that's used for water, liquid, semen, sperm. Okay? That is very key to this whole concept, because if you see Anunnaki, this is what is generally people like Billy Carson and Sitchin and them guys will say, but you don't have Anu. Anu, number one, is an Akkadian term that was innovated when they started to utilize the Sumerian language, bits and pieces of it. But the Sumerians refer to him as An. So this is just letting you know, the reader, that is the word to follow, and that is talking about what is a liquid. The next word, well, let me point this out. You'll never read in the Sumerian inscription that these Anunnaki were sent from Anu to Ki. Zechariah Sitchin, as well as Billy Carson, falsely claimed that the Anunnaki meant from heaven to earth came. If it was saying that, it would be An Ta Kalam She, from heaven came to earth. How do we know this? Because it's in the grammar. Is the Sumerian word for liquid. In Sumerian grammar, a single sign can represent three things: a word, as in the case of a house, A2. You have as a syllable, Ga'andu. Right here, this is not talking about Anu right here, number one. Okay, milk, an, and to build. That's not what it is. It's used as a syllable for pronunciation purposes, as well as a determinative, as in the case for the dead. See, here's the Dingir center here, and the name of the god that follows it is Enlil. Enlil. Okay, so although determinative appears before all deity names, Anuna is in reference to God Anu. But the point is, this is in the second one. You have Nun, which is this next. Sorry, that's an idiot outside. Anyway, you have Nun, which is the
Say that again.
Sumerian term for
What
royalty.
you say? What you say, brother?
I'm sorry. Say it again.
What did you say? You said something?
No, what I said was that.
No, you said I got somebody
at,
else, not an idiot out there or something?
Yeah, there's somebody revving up their motorcycle. So.
Okay. I thought you were saying
but
that
anyway,
was
so what I was saying was, if you look at Nuna, you'll see that the second word is Nun, and in Sumerian it's used to identify something or person of royalty, and it's usually identified as priestly, which is gender neutral. So you have the liquid or sperm in this case, the seed, the royal seed, and you have Na. Now, this is where the study of the grammar comes in, because you have the genitive ending ak, which is the use how to use in Sumerian for of.
All right. Hey,
now,
hold on, brother.
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I would like for you to have your own show. I got to get Brother Rod back here. The people came to see.
I'm sorry, but okay. In a nutshell, just let me say this last thing, and we can go from there. Is that Anuna has nothing to do in the linguistics of mentioning An by name. An is just not An or Anu is not mentioned. It's just letting the reader know that the names of the gods that are being spoken are of a specific. These are minor deities, by the way, because the first writing of this appears in Neo-Assyrian literature during the period of Gudea. And then it talks about these minor deities as opposed to Gudea's chief deity, who was Ngersu. But we can talk about that. But that's the main point I wanted to lay out, that it has nothing to do with from heaven to earth or Anu to Ki, because for the record, Ki doesn't even come up in the word itself. You don't have the Sumerian determinative Ki identifying a place, land, ground. It's not in the word. You will find it later on in Akkadian and Babylonian literature, but then there's a specific reason why it's there. So that's all I just wanted to make that point.
Right. Thank you, Brother Chuck. Hey, Chuck, the offer's still there. I would love for you to come on and do your show on that. Let me get back to Rod real quick. Tell us about the Atlanteans, Rob, Brother Rod, and where did they go when Atlantis sunk? Where did the Atlanteans
First of all, Atlantis was a global civilization network. It was a network of groups of civilizations all over the planet. It wasn't just one place. The city that they say sunk, they making reference to, was frozen under the ice in Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
The main temples of the ancient period is in the Grand Canyon, where the Temple of Isis and the Temple of Tahuti is. where they found all those Egyptian artifacts the Smithsonian was trying to keep the public from being aware of. Right. So when we talk about Atlantis, well, first of all, we didn't call it Atlantis, it was called the Atlant. And it was in reference to all of the working civilizations of the world working together. That's where the Atlantis come about under Plato, right? Because he didn't call it Atlant, he called it Atlantis. And you say he got it from overhearing a conversation with some priests talking in the temples in Kemet, right? So when we talk about these ancient civilizations, we use in a modern lens for everything ancient. And all of the stuff that before us, if we take it literally, then we can be self-deceived in how we perceive the information. That's why I say I just read it like an energy. The brother mentioned about the Anunnaki and coming from Earth, from Anu to Earth, or from heaven to Earth they came, which is a common translation. You got to remember, in the early days of the discovery of the tablets, they didn't know how to translate them until they got Akkadian and Babylonian texts with the same cuneiform script, but it was used in the Akkadian and Babylonian languages. And so they used that to reverse engineer the translation codex for the Sumerian tablets. This is why you have the bleeding of Akkadian terms and Babylonian terms into the Sumerian text, because this is how this is what they was using to translate. The translation now is a whole nother level, like the brother was just showing us, because now the language has become understood enough from the ones who's been studying it for 50, 60, 70 years that now they can translate it direct without using the bridge of the Akkadian and the Babylonian text, right? If you go around the world, you can see the Zulu. Zulu mean skywalkers, right? And you got other tribes around the world that mean they walk the skies. Well, what do Skywalker mean and how do you translate it becomes the issue when you deal with what the ancients are saying versus how we perceive reality thousands of years later. It's like somebody whispering in the ear in one part of the room, and when the message get to the last person, it's entirely different than the message that was delivered.
All right, from here on in, y'all, brothers and sisters, I need y'all to ask a question, not to come up and give your presentation. You are welcome to do a show. So when I let y'all in, I just would like for y'all to ask the brother a question. I already have the teacher here. No disrespect to nobody. No disrespect to nobody. This is Brother Rod's show, and I just want to bring y'all in to ask questions. Hold on, Apostle. I got you. And I want to get, you want to ask a question, Apostle? Huh? Okay, go ahead, Apostle. You can ask your question, brother. You do donate to me on the regular, so I gotta bow down to those who really show love. You know, Apostle, I wake up in the morning, I see a Cash App. Oh, Apostle, my brother. You know?
Rod, ain't it true that in the Atlantic Ocean, they found underneath city walkways and cities in the deep of the ocean, of the Atlantic Ocean?
Not just in the Atlantic, they found it in the
well, I'm just saying the Atlantic.
Yeah, they have found there, and also down in where we have the Bermuda Triangle, they got the Bimini Road, which is right. Then they got statuary under the ground. Then off Japan, they got giant temples under the ocean. So it's a lot of civilizations that's under the water.
Right. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you understood that. I just wanted to make sure you understood. So
Yeah.
Based on what Plato was describing, I know he described the city of Atlantis
With the
being
concentric circles.
right, the
Yeah.
circle, right. But the Septuagint was written in BC, before AD. The Old Testament Septuagint. It was written around 325 or 326 BC. So it's before the New Testament. But go ahead. I just want
All
to
right,
share that.
Apostle. All right. All right. Griffin, what's going on, brother? You have a question?
Right. Yeah, how you doing? So I appreciate it.
Good,
Peace to
man.
the panel. I just had a question for Rod Hayes. So for thousands of years, we relied on like stories and written records, but now today, we have phones, we have the cloud. We're able to basically dish out information instantly now due to the internet, phones, GoPros, and stuff like that. How do you think where we're at now will affect future generations and how they view history? Because like I'll give you an example, like 9/11, people actually recorded that. That's not something that you can refute or say didn't happen. Like people actually recorded that. So do you think moving forward, when we go hundreds and hundreds of years, it'll erase that gray area that we have dealing with thousands of years ago due to no actual records of us seeing things?
Well, first of all, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that we have now, we had before at a same similar period of time of a different era. As the eras go, the civilizations is normally become so decayed that the ones that you don't see, the Amun priest collapses the civilization to start it over. Now we at the conclusion of what's called the Piscean age and the onset of the Aquarian age, and a lot of the stuff that we didn't know before, we coming into the knowledge of. But in the gray area of perception is going to always be there because that's part of how we perceive information. We perceive information primarily in um, um, the terms that we can relate to it. If you can't relate to the information, then you don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it. You don't want nothing to do with it until you find some kind of way to relate to it that you can put it in your paradigm. Most people don't want to hear something that they don't understand because that cognitive dissonance is very uncomfortable for them. And that's that gray area of what do we say happened or didn't happen, right? So that's why I say read it like an energy first, because now you have to train yourself how to read energy. And it's a lot of oracle training devices like tarot cards, the runes, the pendulum that will also help you to refine your energy reads, right? So how we perceive information in the future, we might be using the technology so advanced that we might not even be able to see a footage in the old spectrum of the cameras that was being used. Because like first generation Microsoft Word don't work no more, but it's still there. It just don't work. It don't work to the same way as the new Microsoft version. Because when they put the upgrades in, it also has to knock stuff out that's useless. And as you do that, this is where your downsizing with advancements come from, because you get rid of what was useless and you hold on to what's useful as long as possible until it becomes useless. I mean, you used it up. Then you go on to the next piece of information. It's the same way with how we perceive when we understand an information. We only understand the information according to how we can relate to it. This is why a lot of people that's trying to teach us is using the Bible as the reference, because that's part of the paradigm that put us in the mental bondage. So if they used it to put us in, you have to use it like in there and dig around on the inside of the information in order to get out what you can use to salvage the people from the paradigm that they've been following for so long. And that's painful to a lot of people.
All
So
right. You good, Griffin?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Sir. Thank you for
You welcome, brother.
having me up. Appreciate it, Rod. Thank you.
yeah, appreciate you, brother.
Keon, if you want to ask a question, you got to turn on the camera. All right, let's go to our brother, Dr. Reggie. You on the call, brother.
Okay, great. Hey, Hayes, we've spoken a few times. How you
Oh
doing?
yeah, I know you is, brother. I know you is.
All right. Great. I'm not. I can only ask a question or two. So, the reason why Billy Carson got in trouble is because he was repeating things over and over and over again, particularly things like Christ wasn't crucified, right? And he got in trouble with a source, right? And listen, thanks for coming on this channel so we can vet exactly what you say. And I'm sure Sonetta has a bunch of questions so we could get specific. And we don't want one of those people like Huff coming on and ruining you, right? Or any of us, right? So we're going to have to be a little bit more specific, and we're going to have to mention some sources at some point. So my question is, you made a statement that the Egyptians, that what we call the Egyptians, those are the people of Africa in this particular Nile Valley area, which they call Tawi, right? The two lands. You made a correlation between those groups of people and the Sumer people, who we don't know a whole lot. We only know it through Babylonian and Akkadian sources. So my question, because I don't want to disturb anything, I want Sonetta to ask his questions, right? Hopefully he has good questions. But you have to tell me, right, since you brought in ancient Egypt, right, you're going to have to tell me that the ancient Egyptians or those people identify themselves with gods or with sacred animals, right? And is that similar at all to the paradigm that, out of Africa? Because in my research, they thought differently. They didn't talk about sky gods. They talked about natural elements in Africa, sacred animals or venerated animals in nature, things that they could see, hear, and feel, right? And it has no correlation, and there's no recorded evidence that they ever met the Sumerians or the people that followed until a much later period. So their thinking was already developed. So my question is, you're going to have to can you spend a few minutes and tell us what you believe the ancient people of Africa believed, and show me that it's the same that the people out of Africa that what they believed, and to make a correlation. So I'll stop and I'll listen. I won't interfere. I just want you to talk to me about Africa, which is the birthplace of humanity, right? So we have more than 100,000 years of what we call pre-civilization in Africa. And then we have these other groups of people out of Africa in their thoughts. So tell me what you know about what the people of Africa in the Nile Valley that we call ancient Egypt believed. And I'll mute my mic and I'll turn off my screen and listen.
Well, first of all, the Egyptians' beliefs evolved over a long period of time, right? America's only 200 years old. When we look at the evolution of the ideologies in America, then we should understand the evolution of the ideologies that took place in Kim. The sacred animals is the totem system, right? Then you have the ones who was from the royal families, which was your hierarchy. But they have pre-dynastic civilizations that they don't talk about that go back even further, right? So I didn't make a correlation. Sinetta asked me a question about the relation between the Egyptians and the Sumerians. And I told him I believe that based on what Tahuti say in the Emerald Tablets, or what Thoth say in the Emerald Tablets, that they went over there and set up an observatory to keep an eye on the laboratory experiments and different things that was going on in Sumer that evolved into Babylon and Akkadian and all of that stuff. So they got different beliefs. Even in Africa, from tribe to tribe, you got different belief systems. You got different tribal structures and setups of how the rulership is passed and how the wealth is passed. But you have a common undertone in Africa called the holy drama. We knew it as the Assyrian resurrection story. This story is told by the Dogon and by several different Bantu tribes that's not in Kemet, that's in Western and Southwestern Africa, right? So the belief systems vary around the world throughout history, and what they perceiving is how they telling a story. Everybody not telling the same story. They telling the story that they see. 10 people can be at a murder scene and they all gonna tell the same story. The only thing they gonna agree on is the murder.
All right. Let me move on to the next brother. First, let me ask you, can you explain more about the connection between the Anna, Isis, and the Immaculate Conception story?
Right. That's the story of Heru and Kemet. Right. And this is also what they call the Inanna story in what we call the Middle East. Right. But the Anunnaki story is kind of different from the Egyptian story. They're not the same. But the Egyptian story is the go-to for the Immaculate Conception because it's one of the most comprehensive descriptions of how she was able to produce Heru from the seed of Osiris when he was no longer physically present. Right. And there's also other Immaculate Conception stories is written by, I think my man name was Kersey Graves, 16 Crucified Saviors. Right. So it's not an original story, but the most comprehensive that goes into it. And it's also part of the holy drama.
Okay. Let me get Dizzelli, let's get it, man. Let's go. And I got in the building next.
Hey, Saw, and greetings to Rod Hayes. Firstly, I want to say, Saw, I'm definitely going to need a show to give the House of Consciousness a treat on this topic.
That's
but
good.
I want to do it in how it relates to us in a conventional manner, things that are happening now. This is going to be quite a scary show. We can probably call it like a darn horror show. But yeah, I'm definitely going to want to link up with you so that I can get that out to the people so they can start worrying about whether Jesus wore briefs or boxers. But the question that I want to ask the brother Rod Hayes, and I said greetings to him, I want to ask him, with the information that you're bringing forth concerning the Anunnaki, have you ever considered how it affects the history of, let's say, humanity as far as religion goes? So if we're following you and you are bringing information that a group of beings, came to this planet in the in ancient times, have you ever put it together that these beings are probably responsible for many things that many people follow. We used to wonder why people had to make sacrifices to God or whomever, sacrifices of food. And you would be wondering, what does God want with food? What does God want a roasted calf for? That's just something to darn think about. But Mr. Rod Hayes, have you ever considered these things is my question. And can you elaborate on them just a little bit for us? Thank you.
I absolutely consider these things, because the only way you will know is you have to find what's called the fingerprints of the author. That means that most of the stuff we believe, we really believe in it because somebody told it to us. We ain't believing it because we know it. That's like 90% of what we believe. The stuff we know, only thing we know is what we've experienced in real time in our particular life, and everything else is secondhand information. That's why I don't do debates, because I'm going to be arguing, no matter whose source I use, I'm going to be arguing secondhand information, right? So I can give resources, I can give sources of information, but I rely more on my experience than I do on my my learning, because I know that most of the stuff that's been fed to us has been fed to us to control us. And go back to whether it's the Sumerian tablets or the writings and the hieroglyphics in Kemet, or the